Good morning, everyone. And Chip and Marcy, our friends from way back. I remember meeting you a few times, but we actually got to like each other so much we decided to spend, what was it, 9 days in Tahiti? And oh, what good memories. Makes me smile just thinking about that. I can reflect on all sorts of things. One just noticing fairly deep in this clear water, and I could look down and see the hair on the top of my toes. And it was like bath water. It was warmer than Hawaii.
Yeah,
And also just on those grass, I guess it's grass huts on the stilts out in the water,
yeah.
just laying on the bed and just the fragrance and having birds come in and be on the loft there and the glass floor on part of it. And oh, and the food. Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Pineapple is just more pineapple-y there. And being with good friends. It was just that was a few years ago, I think close to 30. So wow, time flies when you're having fun. So there's a lot of relationships in Avini that go way, way back. We got this new company, but we also have a family reunion going here. So
And isn't it wonderful to have a family with you? Have your
uh
family with you.
Yeah, Valerie's parents were there, and our youngest son was there. He doesn't remember a thing though, because he was not born yet.
We
He's old now,
measure this
Valerie.
by we measure how long ago it was by how old he is.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, pretty
Anyway,
cool. So how did that happen? How did we wind up in Tahiti? We were in something great together. That was
yeah.
a company sponsored contest, and if I remember, ours was all about, we'd been in a while, and it was about percentage of organizational growth, and you guys were fairly new, and they had another contest as far as just overall just growth period of your new business.
Personal volume growth,
Yeah,
yeah. And
a
yeah,
personal,
because I
yeah.
remember anybody, it's funny what you remember, but I remember every time somebody got to 20,000, they weren't mine anymore. They didn't count. So they didn't count for the contest. But we did 360Ks that month for the contest to qualify that during that contest period. We did 360Ks. And that was incredible. And then it was so much fun because as I remember, we were on stage and being announced as the winners, and we had no idea. Dave was pretty sure that he was going to be there, but we weren't sure we were going to be there. And it was such an exciting thing. Dave, as we're up there, we're talking about Tahiti, and Dave looks over, he says, "You want to go together?" And I remember being so excited to think that that was a victory beyond victory, right? So I call what we're doing today, I Dreamed a Dream.
Oh, and we're dreaming it again. And it was so wonderful being in this high growth environment. We had products that were working really well. And
Mhm.
that company during the 90s had a reputation for treating people really well and paying them really good. And then say things changed, but we're in that again. We remember, and it's fun. And tell us though, because it's been a long and circuitous journey, and we lost touch for a lot of years. And now it's fun being back with you, and we're
Mm.
doing something again. And I used to be your upline. We switched that role too, and this is really, it's all working out really good. And
Yeah.
you shared something with me. Let's see, I think this is getting close to 6 years ago. And this is magic. I
You got
feel
one too.
really there's quite an interesting story because this product I've been using for 6 years, you've been using it longer. And what's fascinating is this is the fourth label of using this product at that time. So I just want to hear how that came
Yeah.
about because we've got something on one hand, I talk to people about it, and I imagine your experience is the same, that after all of these years and this product being around for about 20 years now, that probably 80% of the population, when you talk to them, they've never heard of zeolite. And you start explaining that, and yet everybody's heard of heavy metals and body burden and the danger of toxicity and all this going on. And so this is really low hanging fruit as far as opportunity and being able to have such an elegant solution. But almost no one, we get to tell a story about not just a really easy way to use it. You just go like this and put some in your mouth. And if some is good, more is better, and too much is just right, as Marcy discovered. And watching
Thank
that story.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wow, this is good stuff. And then being able to talk about the words that Rik coined, but a lot of people are using now, and still the market is just wide open. The opportunity is so great. And we're in such a good place with something that is just really battle tested. Wow.
Absolutely.
And so, okay, you guys, we were doing really well together. Some things fell apart with that old company. I hung around perhaps too long, but I think time is
Just right.
wonderful for everything.
Timing is everything.
It's just wonderful.
Timing is everything.
Yeah, you guys cleared and made a lot of experience. So all the way back, how did you first hear about this? And when did you first meet Rik Deitsch? And how long did it take you to figure out that this could be something powerful? I want to hear all of those good things.
Well, one phone call convinced me. Interestingly enough, as I said, for me, this talk today, what we're talking about is I dreamed a dream. The only reason I had the dream is because of a little cowboy.
Whoops, she got herself. And so at that time, we had an RV lot. And so Marcy was the lead salesman, and I was the main person taking care of things. And Cowboy Butch and Bonnie came by, and we had, Marcy says, millions of dollars worth of inventory, and had to be there 12 hours a day, at least 6 days a week. And he came by with something in his pocket, and that was his business. And
he said,
it looked pretty interesting.
My inventory, and I understood. I got that part.
So that was the beginning. And then the introduction to Rik and his product, that was another approach. And we kind of wrote down, okay, you're good to go. All right.
I'll try. Anyway, I had left the company we were with, and I went to university. I call that the university. We went to the same university together. And then I went to another university, and I learned some more things. And I took what I had learned at each of those universities and went to another university. But I was sitting in the basement with a really good friend of mine, and she had just gotten out of the hospital, came to my house after leaving the hospital, and had one of those nasty things with breast issues. And we were discussing her situation, and the phone rang. And it was somebody that everybody knows Dave Johnson is the greatest networker, and developed his networking style and ability in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. He convinced people that they could do anything because he did. And that approach still is his approach. He's refined himself quite a bit, but he has defined the way he talks to people. And his way is for them to see themselves doing what he does. And my way is similar, but I've always, always, always been a product person. And when another very powerful network marketer called me on the phone, took my name off the top 25 list of network marketers, and that he had no connection to me whatsoever. He cold called me. And I love telling the story because that very famous Haremza is the father of our now going to be famous Stephanie, who is who's in customer service. And I was very blessed. He called, and we had a lovely little conversation. And then he mentioned this bottle that was just introduced at their Las Vegas event, and Rik Deitsch. And he started telling me about Rik. And immediately I said, yes. He said, we're putting it together in packs. I said, when can I get it? And he said, it'll just be a couple of weeks, or it'll be a week, something like that. And I said, okay. And I must have said I was in 4 times. Never in his life has he ever missed a cue, right? But he just kept telling me more information, more information. And I love this story. I love the fact that he was nervous talking to me, telling me about this product. And I had said yes in the first 10 minutes. Finally, I said, are you going to sign me up, or do I have to do something? And I said, while you're signing me up, please sign my friend up too. Meanwhile, I'm passing papers that are coming off the fax machine to Chip. And he's sitting back there. First, he's thinking, oh no, not another network. I hand him some information, including the white paper on this product. And he starts going, like, get him to sign you up. I said, I'm trying. So I love that story. And I love to tell that little tale on John. Anyway,
just for a moment,
Yeah.
I want to say, okay, you've gone to several universities and you're very smart, and you've learned some of the greatest stuff. Just to make sure we all have that clear, I love this thought that network marketing is the greatest education, because it's about happiness and success is just learning associations with people and improving those skills. And it's so often described that network marketing is a personal development course disguised as a business. And
I think you have to go through the university of one company or another company. I think it's wonderful, the people that have experienced the education. I wouldn't trade the education that you and I got together, and you and Chip and I and Valerie, all four of us went to silver trainings and gold trainings and learned personal worth and learned personal value and appreciate the people that come to experience your experience. That's what network marketing is. It's about inviting people to do what you do.
Yeah, we can take those ideas and teach other people and teach them how to teach other people.
Yes.
Makes it really fun.
But we refine ourselves by where we've been. So I don't look at those things as negative things. I look at that as some of the most positive times in my entire life. And I look at right now as the dream come true. I remember loading up, we took 2 RVs off our lot, and Dave and Valerie had just gotten a brand new RV, and they were going to be in Rapid City, and we had never met. That was our first meeting. And we came to Rapid City with 2 motorhomes full of people from Scottsbluff, Nebraska. We show up at a meeting and Dave's going, "Now, who are you again?" No, he was very gracious and we were very excited. And that was the thing we had in common. We were both excited. All 4 of us were excited. And we knew we had found similar.
Yeah, let's go back to John Herenza, and you can look him up and you can learn a lot from that guy still.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So you met him, you met Rik Deitsch.
We met him, and that was the beginning. And that was the end of August in 2004. This year, it'll be 20 years. And we went to Denver and met Rik at he was doing a booth in Denver. And we drove a healthcare booth where he was explaining the product and so forth. And we went, and he was also there for suppliers and things like that. So anyway, we went there. He was like a magnet, and we were so drawn to him. And immediately I thought, gee, I know about this product. I love this product. We had already started, and our business exploded. It exploded in very short time. And it was so exciting, and watching people, giving people this product and talking to them and sharing with them some of our first experience. My friend that sat next to me never had another exposure to the issue she had. She started taking the product and prevented anything else that might have come into her life. And then some of my very, very dear friends from a university of somewhere else, the same university that Dave and I went to together, started calling because they or people they knew were in trouble. And I think of those days, and I think I was so excited to think that I had something that would help the people that I knew before. My other family began to find out about this product. And lo and behold, years later, Dave calls, and that story becomes approaches and conversations. That's what create events in your life. And that was a big event for Dave, but it had followed a huge event for me. And when I first got involved with the product, I had some skin issues that were not really good. We knew I had a problem, and I started taking the product, and literally we watched them go away. We watched them literally peel off and go away. And I thought, man, how does it get better than that? Well, God had a plan to make things more apparent to me. I thought I was bulletproof in my knowledge of the product and how I felt about the product. I was committed that this product could change the world. I knew that we had found a product that literally was the biggest discovery in medicine. Can you imagine? I don't have a doctor's hat and I don't wear a white coat, but I know someone who wears a white coat, and he's Rik Deitsch. So our full 19 years, over 19 years with Rik. And I've learned a lot about the product, and I am bulletproof about the product. I know what it can do. I'm amazed constantly at the miracles that are in that bottle. But every time somebody came to me from the university of somewhere else, I had to say to them that the opportunity in the business was not there, but the product was incredible. Can you imagine having a product that was so dynamic and so amazing, but the business had fizzled. I wanted to literally buy the company, and Rik will tell you that I wanted to buy the company and turn it into what we have today, turn it into the dream that I had. And my dream came to, it will be 2 years, May 1st, because along in that time, we spent some time finding some junior colleges, but they weren't universities and they didn't pass muster. They couldn't make it past the ownership. We couldn't make it past the ownership of companies that destroyed themselves. Isn't that interesting? Our product worked everywhere. Our product worked everywhere we took it and to everyone we took it to. To me, this is a story about mapping out the cycle of life, the circle of life, circling back for the people you care about and bringing them to what you've found and what you've learned and teaching them so that they can teach others. So that's what we have, and that's how we got here. And I believe that walking the path, Neil became part of the picture. We love that. We got to know Neil. We spent time with him. We got to ride around on the scooter, the little two-wheel electric carts that he and Rik were in business in. We learned so much, and we realized the value of integrity in business starts at the top, and you can't replace it. You can't find somebody to insert into the spots. It had to be, they had to have control of this company. They do, we win, the dream came true.
Wow, that's so exciting. Now, one of the things, okay, we have the awesome story to tell, and it's a powerful story, and we have the opportunity to be the first one to tell it. So all of the people we talk to, almost always, they've never heard the story before. That's a big opportunity. But a lot of times when that happens, and we encourage people to do this, well, look up zeolite, look up clinoptilolite, look up all of these things. And all of a sudden you realize this has been around a long time as far as an intestinal cleanser and just a magic that zeolite does. And it's just all upside and no downside. But then you start looking a little deeper, and all of a sudden you realize, hey, there's these other companies. And the thing that's really exciting, if you actually do a timeline, Rik was the first. He was a tree, and there's a lot of branches coming out, but you witnessed all of that. But I'd like to hear more about that right there, because you know those people that started those other branches, and they used the name and some of his ideas, but I don't think anybody really knows how to do it like Rik does. And maybe elaborate on that. And what such a wonderful thing going. My company, I thought, okay, I was 30 years with one company. I thought that was going to be my life's culmination. This was my mission. And around the turn of the century, we were doing around $1 billion a year worldwide.
Right.
And then they lost its soul and direction, and crazily, maybe, I don't think even 50 million a year now, that same company.
Wow.
And it's not fun to be slowly dying on a sinking ship. You don't want your best years to be 20 or 25 years ago. And I'm so grateful to be alive again and growing. Because Marty said that it's better to grow than maintain. But the more you look at that, you can't maintain. You're either growing or dying.
That's right.
It's fun to be.
I like growing or dying. That's exactly. Yeah.
So a little bit, because you had a good thing. You were making really good. And it seemed like the owner actually, if I recall you guys sharing this, he actually came to you and said, nobody's worth that much. I need to change the comp plan rather than tide raising all the ships. I met a lady that was very, very, very sharp. And she was, I don't know what you call that, added all the extra stuff, the insurance and undercoating, all of these different things. And she was making really, really well at a big car dealership. And then the son took over. She'd been there a long time. And the son brought the check, and he says, this is the biggest check you're ever going to get here. He was upset, not realizing that he got a piece of that. He should keep going. Go, girl. Well, that was her last check too, because she left, realizing, wow. And it's just crazy how people think, how company owners can mess things up. And so tell us a little bit about that story and where these other companies came from, because it just was it all blew up, but it could have been neat. But of that, this, I would like to say, inspirational dissatisfaction is what actually created what we have now, where Rik was perfectly happy just being in the lab, designing things, being on the stage, explaining how they work, not having to, well, it's easier to be a vendor than it is to be an owner. And he was happy, but we couldn't find anybody that could drive the bus. They kept going
Right.
into a ditch.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the truth of the matter is that we couldn't have asked for better than what we dreamed, and it came true. So isn't that great? But the truth is there were bumps on the road. There are dead carcasses along the highway of companies that couldn't hear the message that the company has to be about the distributor base, that it has to be about great products, and those products drive us to care about people, to do more for people, to step out. So what we found were some that we took the best product in the world to companies that didn't know what they had. And as good as we were at convincing people about what the products did, the companies don't want to hear. They didn't want to hear the message of hope that is in our product. I do want to tell you some secret sauce. You said you want to know some of the things that happened in the beginning. Did you know that this was at one time flavored?
No.
When it first came out and he first gave it to people in Las Vegas, before we came along, just 2 weeks before us, it was introduced, but it wasn't available to them. They didn't get to buy it. A few people got to have the sample bottles from the event, and that's it. And there were testimonies from those samples. That's how incredible this product was. It's amazing. We know that. We now know that. But it started with a very bright cinnamon flavor. Cinnamon. Can you imagine that our product was cinnamon flavored? Well, that didn't last. And now it then developed into the exact taste that we have now. It has fluctuated a little bit with more taste so that people know there's something in there besides just water. But understand this, we have competitors who put water in the bottle. Go to the sink and put water in the bottle and sell it to people. Hello, there are no competitors because there's no competition. Nobody is competing in the same realm that Rik started out with. He started out with making it correctly. He started out making it by cleansing it, and nobody has figured that out. There's not one company out there that their product tests clean and free of debris. Ours does. Ours is a cleansed sponge. This is the difference. So here's what's out there that says there are competition, and here we are. Which one would you rather have?
The clean sponge.
The clean sponge. Yeah, if we're going to take a shower on the inside, we want to be sure that what we're putting in us is better for us. And that's what we have. The unlimited brilliance of Rik Deitsch. Nobody can say that but you guys. Nobody can claim him but us. Some companies claim all of his information, even my testimony. I haven't seen yours out there, Dave, but mine is what in many cases, is what they lead with, even using my name and my last initial. Figure that out. I didn't give anybody permission to use my testimony. I went from "you're going to be gone in 8 weeks," my expiration date written on my forehead, to having taken the tattoo off and discovering that I was free of disease. Now, that's a pretty powerful thing to be able to say. But the only product I ever used was Rik's. I didn't use anybody else's. And nobody else has a right to my testimony. They can't say they're zeolite. They can't say clinoptilolite. They can't say any of the things, but detoxolite is what Rik created all those years ago in August of, well, it took him years to create. He started in the 90s figuring it out. And by 2004, it was nearly perfect.
Well, when
There was cinnamon.
I've gotten to know that company and meet some of those people that were there with you.
Oh, yeah.
Went off following other things and using other things and actually coming back to Avini and I can tell the difference. It's working better, a lot better. And I guess there's other people that you and I know that went off on those other companies and relied on them, and they're not here anymore. They're dead. And so Wow, I would want to get the best, and we have it. And definitely, if we're going to sell it, we want to represent the best. So that's really exciting. I remember when I had my problem and it went away, and how thankful I was. And I would refer people to you, but then also Chip and I would commiserate. At that time, working with companies that were broken, that if somebody came to me and they did, people would call and say, show me how to make some money with this. And I would have to just tell them, well, we all play to our strengths and we got some really good product. So lead with product. But as far as building a network, which I love doing that, I love products, but I love the team building aspect. And that had been missing for a lot of years. And so thanks for helping me do that again. And
But that's the wonderful thing about that conversation again, Dave. Your conversation when you called and were in trouble, wasn't it amazing that instead of saying, I feel so bad, I said, oh, no problem. And Chip said, no problem. Let's get after it. And here's what you do. You jumped on the Marcy dose because that's what I did. And I love the fact that you weren't the first of my mentors, of the people who taught us in our other company that came in our from the university. And as people would come and learn about the product, they would say the same thing that that you just said. Well, we used to have a great place to work, but what we did is we took shelter in an aluminum frame building and aluminum instead of steel on the roof, and we weren't bulletproof. And some of the bad stuff happened. Even the ownership of our company split, and one of them tried to take the product with him and claim that he could do that. Unfortunately, he didn't have Rik. The missing element is not knowing how to create the cleansing process. And nobody wants to work that hard. Nobody wants to spend 10 years figuring it out. Rik did. He did, and they haven't duplicated him, and they may never duplicate. But the good news is we are the first, the one, the only. I talked about mentors, and I want to say this. What a powerful thing when people like Larry Prophet and our many other friends, some I can't name, but you know, and I tell you how powerful it is when you get the phone call that puts together a company, right? Or you're working behind the scenes and you're going, yeah, come on, please listen, please be the one. And we're so grateful. We're just so grateful because it was the power of our network, of our friendships, of our relationships that made it possible for Rik and Neil and Doug to step out and say, okay, we'll do it. They saw the integrity of this group of great people who decided to make their own university, the university of what we want and what we won't settle for without, what we won't do without again. And isn't it wonderful that they were part of that? Neil was part of the distributor group. He worked from that side. He knows. And what he knew was he wasn't willing to go somewhere else and get it. Let's don't go to the underdeveloped. And let's take this as it was already developed. Our teams already were started. And I'm so grateful and I'm so proud of our teams. I'm proud of you always because you excel. It wouldn't matter where you were. It would matter to you what you had. And now we shout from the rooftop what we have.
So I just got the elbow. I'm up. Isn't Saturday a short day? I only got a few minutes left here. So I think about some of the times, and I was talking to Charlie Daniels last night, and he's a music guy in Fresno. And I said, there was a time I thought maybe I'd never get to talk to Dave and Valerie again. We just fell apart and for years. Then you called, and I remember you asking, okay, that thing that happened for Marcy, would that work for me? And part of that conversation was, I think we can put our heads together and outsmart this thing. And that's essentially what happened using Rik's product. The way we feel about Rik, and over the years, we wanted him to have control of his deal so that there wasn't some bureaucracy doing this number, pilfering pieces of it or cutting corners. The dream became, we wanted Rik to have control of his products and his business. And that's what Avini is for sure. I do remember the conversation between you and I, Dave, when you got better, you called me and said, okay, this is going great. I'm a lot better and getting these great tests. And I remember, I'm pretty sure this is almost a quote. Dave, would you believe we just saved your life with a network marketing product and there's no opportunity associated with it? There's an argument between the biochemist and the owner, and there is no opportunity. And it took years to fix that. So that was the dream that had to come about. This might seem a little bit strange, and I thought I did really good today. I didn't interrupt Marcy very much. I'm on with a couple of my mentors here. And so in Nebraska, this is a couple of little relationship things here. Marcy had what I found to be the rarest of qualities in women. She actually liked me. Then the other thing was, how did we get married? We get to talking about stuff, and we found that in Nebraska, if you interrupt someone 6 times in a half an hour, you're married by common law. So that's how we got married. Well, usually so we were trying to be careful here, but this finally happened. And the way we feel about Rik over these years, and it may seem a little strange, but it's almost like we're as proud and protective of him as though he was one of our kids. Yeah. That's the way it feels to us. And then the relationship with you've always been, you and Val have always been, and certainly the crown jewel event was going to French Polynesia with you and spending time that we earned, right? We earned by doing a good job for a company. And we earned that and love doing it. I'd rather do this than other kinds of work. You know, this is a cooler way to work, right? Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you get so close to people, become extended family for sure. And we don't have to explain everything to each other. We just know that what we're about and what we're doing together, and it's really important. I do remember when Mars handed that fax over her shoulder, and she was already wanting to enroll with John Haremza at that time, Stephanie's dad, now in our customer service as of about a month ago, right? And I looked at what she was already wanting to join, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, this may be the most important thing I've ever read when it comes to human health. And now, all these years later, I still feel that. And we've given our working lives, our careers, our best efforts to representing Rik and his product. And we feel like it's a great use of our lives.
Oh, fantastic. I remember in I'd had a business fall apart. We loved it. It was wonderful. And then it was gone. And I turned 40 years old. For a little while, I had to go get a job. When you're on your own, it's really hard to go back and work for somebody else. And I was just wound up like a spring. And then it was July of 1990. I heard about this company, and I just knew. I knew that I knew. It was just such a wonderful feeling. And I thought this was it. This is my day, my turn to shine. And it wound up being that way. For growth was probably just high growth for about 10 years. And then it seemed to lose its soul and just went out, and just being indomitable and just always eternally optimistic. I'm thinking it'll turn around, but just finally realized it wasn't going to turn around. And that is the most heartbreaking thing. But who would have thought, wow, to have the thrill to be at the right place at the right time again. And I believe this moment right now, it's the most wonderful feeling to think, not that my best days were 10 or 20 years ago, or at this one moment I hit this, but to think I'm in the best job I've ever had in my whole life. This moment, I'm in my A game, and the future's bright, and I get to share it with other people. And that's one of the wonderful things. I love what John Maxwell says. I discovered something that changed my life. I shared it with you, and it changed your life. And together we're sharing it with other people, and it changes their lives. We can change the world with this. And it's been a 20-year journey with this particular product, but it is so amazing. Everybody needs it. And finally, we've done several shakedown cruises, proven the marketability of it. And now we've got something that everybody needs. And now it's very reliably produced. And oh, goodness, talk about being in a growth environment.
I'd like to marvel at Valerie Johnson for just a second. You said that you met her at a dance and married her because she was always cheerful. And I have to say, there was a couple of those moments along the way when it looked like everything was going to blow up again. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've taken one of the most consistent guys in this profession and turned him into a rabid network marketer. And I thought, I was trying to apologize to Valerie, and she said, no, it's not that way at all. She said, I'm so grateful because Dave gets to be Dave again. And I think we feel like that. We get to be us again. And if you love doing this, if you love having a great idea that nobody knows about and an opportunity to go with it, Avini is going to fulfill you. And that's probably my big message of the day. It all comes together from approaches and interactions and events is what it all grows on. And it turns into lifelong, dear friendships. And that's what we have on our Zoom today together.
And what I love about Dave and Valerie is please follow their leadership. Understand they take time for themselves. There is time. They make time. They are out in the world together, skiing, riding bicycles. They're doing what they love because they're doing what they love to do for work. Their work can be done on the ski slope. It can be done wherever they are. I want one more Tahiti thing to go on and to remind you of, Dave. Somebody got, you and Chip were going scuba diving out with a group of people. And I sent him out there and I said, look, you're getting in the boat with one of the best networkers in the world. Get in the boat quickly and talk to them first. If you talk to them first, he'll be your three-way. He'll be your A to your B.
She did say that.
And we will all win. And he looked at me and he said, I'm standing there in, I hate to tell everybody, but in a swimming suit that didn't amount to much.
I love Speedos.
Yeah, Speedo swimming suit. And he's going scuba diving. And he said, what am I going to talk about? And I gave him his back flex. He stuck it in the back of his swimming suit and off he went to do battle, backed up by the best. And he hurried real fast to get in the boat before Dave did. And we did recruit. Dave and Chip did recruit someone, a gentleman that worked with us for years. So a 20-year friendship developed out of that. Race to the boat against one of the best, if not the best.
That's awesome. Just an aside, a memory I remember, being at the dive shop, one of the guys behind the counter, he had these stitches and scars on his arm. And I was just making a joke. Oh, get bit by a shark? And he said, and just matter of factly, he said, yes. Anyway, they had this dive thing that was feed the sharks. And I thought, no, I don't think so. Because that guy, he was feeding the sharks.
So I didn't see the scars on the guy's arm, and I did go on the shark dive. And then right after that, Dave interviewed me, and I was so tickled. I think we called it Tahiti Chronicles was the name of the cassette tape we made that day, because it was a storm. I came back from the shark dive and I was sat down with you and I thought, wow, I can't believe I get to do an interview with Dave Johnson. And so I get to do another one today. Pretty cool.
And it's still just as silly.
I would have thought. And meeting Valerie at the dance, I met Rik at the dance, and we went around to several different companies, several false starts. But in my mind, interestingly, I didn't have this fear and think, oh man, I did feel a little funny, being with one company for 30 plus years and then another company for about a year, another company. But I just I came to the dance with Rik and stayed with the same partner.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done. And
that's the consistency. We stuck with him as though he was one of our kids, as proud of and protective of him, and wanted him to have his own deal and set out to get it done. And that was the dream. And we are doing it.
We're living the dream.
We are doing it.
I think also the interesting thing is I've given my heart to 8 companies over 8 years in April, if you can believe that. But every time the company's fallen apart, pretty much everyone to the person that says, well, I'm done. That's it for me. And I've had to start all over. But the interesting thing was these last few years, putting people together with this product and with Rik and Neil and everyone, they came. It was essentially, oh, we're not on the right boat. It's sinking. But hey, everybody keep the same seating assignment and we'll just kind of move over. And I'm just really impressed with, we haven't had to start all over with Avini. It's a new company, but it's not so new. We've all been together a long time. We've had several rodeos together.
Yeah.
And we know how to do this. So
If
yeah.
you really, really like it and you lose it, you deep inside you want it back. You want to have a network again. You want to have these experiences and these events and these calls and something great and futuristic to represent. And you want to benefit from it yourself physically and to fulfill that again. I mean, it was a void, it was a vacuum. And I guess nature doesn't approve of vacuums. Something's going to fill in. And fortunately, we were able to control and choose and literally filled it with the dream that we wanted, which is now Avini.
Oh my goodness. Wow. The future looks bright. We're just getting started.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Hey, Valerie, come over and say something here. Okay, let's see, February was our 51st anniversary.
Yes.
And April is our 48th anniversary in network marketing. So I've dragged her through quite a few things. Valerie?
Hi, Valerie.
Hello. He has drugged me through a few things, some more fun than others. And this has been awesome and amazing. So I'm excited to follow him along, tag along with him. It's good to be with you guys. I remember, Tahiti, you had your two kids there with you.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful daughter, always on Chip's shoulder, and their son. We had great times. It's a family. That's what we are when we're in this kind of a business. Avini is a family. We attract just the best people are coming to Avini, and we're making those relationships, and it's just such a powerful, great experience, opportunity. And so we're so proud of you guys and your leadership. Thank you for taking us under your wing. And yes, we love you. We love our leadership, our president, our Rik Deitsch. We just love what's coming along. It's beautiful and it's unfolding, and it is a wonderful dream. And sometimes I have to pinch myself and say, is this real? And it is real. And we get to share it with others and help them achieve their dreams. And
Yeah.
wow, just achieving your own dream is pretty awesome, but then and being part of helping somebody else receive their dreams, it just makes you think, how could anything get any better? And it does. It gets better and better and funner and
Yeah.
awesomer. Anyway, my words of wisdom for today.
Well, we love your words of wisdom. We love you, Val.
Thank you.
All right, let's do this.
I think so. I think so. When you're living a dream, it's easy to want to share the dream. And we know that there are people out there that have been to those junior colleges and didn't make it. It wasn't them that failed. It wasn't their contribution that failed. It was the contribution of the ownership. We don't have to worry about that. Now we're proven. We're living in a proven state. It's already established itself. And we know we're a university that's going to provide master degrees in how to get it done, how to make networking work, how to become part of a family of winners, and how to determine that Avini may mean lots of things in different languages, but what it means for all of us is hope for a difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And all of those experiences, my first experience, like a lot of people, was Amway. Loved that experience. 4 years, personally recruited over 50 people. Success-wise, in terms of money, not so much, but changed my whole life, changed my brain, changed my thinking, changed everything about me. And so I look at all of the experience that all of us have had. Avini is an opportunity to take that equity, that knowledge, and not just throw it away and give up and, oh, I guess it's not for me, and live out my rest of my life in cautious mediocrity and think, well, I guess not. No, you can use that. And now we have just limitless opportunity and not have to worry about the company doing crazy things. We got the right people driving the bus.
Yeah, and the bus is getting loaded. But we also know that the second biggest networker that will be in our company isn't here yet. We know that. The first one we already got.
Oh, I don't know. I always think in my
But
mind,
the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth, they're not here yet.
yeah.
We haven't even talked to them yet.
Yeah.
So you can bring them.
Exactly. I just think somebody is going to be the biggest one and doesn't need to be me, but I really hope they're in my downline.
You know what, Dave? It's okay with me.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
We love
I
building a
figure
family.
which way did they go?
Yeah. You know, we learned things at all those places that we went to. We didn't need a degree, some of the information we learned, some of the hard knocks that we found in places that didn't work, but we did learn so much, and every bit of it is valuable because we knew what we didn't want. And isn't it powerful to know what you didn't want so that when you get what you want, you know it's time to shout victory. We
All
have a
right.
victory and we're winning.
Okay.
Join us.
Let's make some more phone calls. We can change somebody's life.